All right. So the United States has been attacking Venezuelan drug smuggling recently, killing the smugglers, and this has led to a lot of controversy recently, whether a double tap strike was ordered and the like. And I would like to weigh in on this. Firstly, the Democrat response, the Democrat like overreacting is just classic. It's just classic. It's just classic the way they respond to everything Trump does. The idea that we've been bombing people all over the world and attacking people all over the world, and that they should get all upset because America is using their military inside their area of influence seems to me laughable. It seems to be like absolute hypocrisy. And in general, I'm never really moved by the idea of, was that a lawful attack? Was it not lawful attack? Should you have double tapped? Shouldn't you have double tapped? Should you do this? The concept of war crimes always seems to be very funny. You can shoot somebody with this gun, but you can't shoot somebody with this gun. You can use this bomb. You can't use that bomb. It always seems a little silly. And obviously, I'm against murdering people, meaning people always say, like the Holocaust was not a war crime. The Holocaust was a crime against humanity. It was just a government deciding to murder its own citizens. If you take prisoners and you just shoot them, is that a war crime? You're just a murderer. Like it doesn't. It's like so silly to me, the whole concept. But then if you say like I could use this munition on that munition, it's all silly. So I don't really come to it from that perspective. And the outrage about like specific, was that illegal? Wasn't that illegal? Did he order double tap? Didn't he order double tap? That seems silly to me. If it was the fact that these people were attacking America and these people were attacking our troops, or they're attacking our border, then it wouldn't make any difference to me. I, however, am against a lot of this. I'm very skeptical if it can work. And I'm also skeptical if it's just. I think that the Navy knows how to board boats, knows how to seize boats. The boat's right there. I don't think in general we should kill people if we don't have to. If there's a boat of smugglers, then we should board and arrest them. Now you might say that doesn't create the right deterrence, and smugglers knowing that they will be the attacked creates a bigger deterrence. Now this is a problem to me, both morally and economically. I don't buy it. Firstly, can you murder people for deterrence? Meaning, when I say murder people, meaning if you justify killing people just for deterrence? Maybe, but it has to be the burden of proof has to be extremely high, and what you're stopping has to be extremely high. In general, I don't know if it creates deterrence. In the whole double tap controversy, so they said that the reason why they were able to double tap, the reason why they were shoot again, was because they climbed back to try to recover the drugs. Now, who is that person that's just been attacked by the U.S. Navy who's scrambling we're obviously talking about a very desperate person. We're obviously talking about a person that faces guns he's between a gun and a gun, a rock and a hard place, right? Knows that if he comes back empty-handed, he's dead anyway. Drug cartels are not good people. They're the most evil people in the world. And so I'm not moved by the idea that we are successfully disincentivizing it. Secondly, drugs are ultimately a problem of supply and demand. The reason why smugglers are trying to bring drugs into the country is because people want to buy them. So if you take out smugglers, what you invariably do is end up increasing the price of the drug. And then you just create a higher incentive for people to get into the business, meaning they were willing to risk their life before. And now if the price is higher, so then you're increasing the price. So I just don't buy that you'll ever be able to stop smugglers from coming in. I also don't buy the notion that we can call fentanyl a weapon of mass destruction that is entering our country. Sure, fentanyl is the most lethal drug that has ever existed. It is an artificial heroin. The reason why fentanyl was invented was because it's a lot easier to smuggle. Quantitatively, you need way less fentanyl than you do of heroin. So that is a reason why. Now, fentanyl isn't in many ways a miracle drug. If next time, if your wife has a baby, look on the ingredients. Fentanyl is one of the ingredients in an epidural. It's a very powerful painkiller, and we use opioids a lot in medicine. What is the problem here is that this cheap fentanyl is coming into the country. And I'm deeply sympathetic to the notion that we would want to stop that stuff coming into the country. But this nation has engaged in drug wars before, and they have not gone well. And the reason that they've gotten well is because of what I said. You cannot take away the incentive. Secondly, we like to believe that if we would just get rid of Maduro, then Venezuela would just be this paradise. But that is ridiculous. We have destabilized multiple countries in the world, and it hasn't turned out well. It was clearly a mistake to remove Saddam Hussein. It was clearly a mistake to go into Afghanistan. And not only that, we've seen what drug wars do to South America, the instability they create. Look at the disasters that when we intervened in Colombia and Peru and Cuba. Not we our interventions in South America have not been a success. And not only have they not been accessed, is that when you create stability, you end up creating instability, you end up creating refugees. And so if we don't want South American migration pouring into this country, then we certainly don't want to destabilize all the countries south of this one. And we don't want to make the south of our border destabilized, because that creates refugees. If we go into war in Venezuela, which it looks like we're trying to do, we're trying to push Maduro out of power. If we end up getting into hot war in Venezuela, if we end up crushing that, who says what replace him will be we claim that there's a narco state there, but most of South America is a narco state. We're not planning on invading Mexico. Mexico is a narco state. Mexico is completely controlled by the control cartels. We're not planning on invading them. I'm planning on voting Maduro because he doesn't. He's a very evil leader who has run his country into the ground, and he doesn't play nice with the West. Maduro's a bad guy, but that's not our role is not to tear down governments. When you start getting, there seems to be a thing where a Venezuelan might hate Maduro, but if you end up invading that country, then people rally around the flags. People do not want foreign interventions. We saw this in Iraq. So you end up getting stability, and you end up in the region, and you don't necessarily solve the problem. And who says the drug lords and the narcos just want to move somewhere else? Then South America is a big country. Now, to the problem of what to do about illegal drugs is a big problem. I lean libertarian, and for the longest time, I felt that legalization was the only real path forward on this topic. And I've actually moved a little bit on this topic because I don't know if the culture is ready for that. I think people use legality as a sign for morality nowadays. They don't have morality independence of legality. And I think the fact that every major city smells like marijuana is a big problem. And I don't think it's good that people regulate their emotions with substances. That being said, that all being true, we have to try and understand why there are so many Americans throwing their lives away to drugs, to addictions. And I think a major part of that is that there is something wrong with the soul of America. Yeah, and it's really with the West. We have declining birth rates. We have people not trying to get married. We have people addicted to porn and video games and social media, which is making everyone miserable. People are not building families. People are not building lives. People are not looking to get married. All of these things are the things that keep someone stable, the things that keep people not depressed. And when people don't have purpose, when people feel like they're just chasing pleasure, so then why wouldn't they turn to drugs? Surely the easiest way to just feel good, if life is just about gratification, so surely drugs is the way to go. So what I'm saying is that we have to figure out a way to dissuade people from using these things and keeping them off our streets. But it has to be that we imbue our children and our families and our country with a purpose, with a goal. What is the purpose? What are we doing? What do we live for? And I think that comes from having a connection with God. I think you'll see that people that are religious have way lower addiction rates. And in fact, the cure for addiction is God. The AA requires someone to accept the higher power. And so my message is that we have to understand, we have to fix why people are addicted to drugs, and we have to fix, and if we don't fix the demand side of drugs, we will never be able to, all supply side fixes will fail. All right, that'll say, guys, have a good one.